The Lord be with you. And also with you. All right, good morning again. Welcome. I'm glad to see so many of you here. This is great. The blue sheet had the agenda for today. The green sheet has an abbreviated version of the summary of this past year and next year's budget. If you wish to see an entire budget, that's what's here, all the pages. So if you need all 8 pages, then we have them here. And they'll be available now and afterwards. Hopefully you all received the report online. If you did not, I have some copies up here of the whole annual report because you all want to read word for word everything in here. I just know it. So, we good to get started? Yes. All right, good enough.
I need to say something. We are streaming this meeting so people at home can see it. If you have a question, raise your hand. I will bring you a microphone. If you don't have a microphone, nobody at home can hear you.
Thank you. All right, our annual meeting will begin. The appointment of the clerk for the annual meeting is Brenda Anderson, our vestry register. So thank you, Brenda, for your work today. Reading of the canons relating to the voting credentials, as in who can vote on matters before us today. The senior warden, Susan Summerlin, will read those for you.
Any adult in good standing at Emmanuel is eligible to vote. To be an adult in good standing, a person must be at least 16 years old, have attended at least 3 services held in Emmanuel in 2024, and have contributed financially to the church in 2024.
Okay, thank you. So that is who is eligible to vote today. It looks like maybe everyone but McKenna who's here will be able to vote. Appointment of the tellers for the election. If indeed we do need a count on anything, Duncan Bell, Diane Nicholsberg, and Marty Mansfield have agreed to be tellers. The report of the nominating committee. We're back to Susan Summerlin, the current senior warden.
The nominating committee consists of the wardens and the outgoing vestry members. Nominated are Silvio Mancone, Beth Von St. Paul, Stacy Larimore, and Donna Lewis.
Okay, so you heard that. That's who is before you today to become members of the vestry. However, at first we have to ask if there are any nominations from the floor. There can be no surprises here. If you nominate someone from the floor, they have to have agreed to serve. So, are there any nominations from the floor? Okay, thank you. Then we have a slate of 4 members, Silvio Mancone, Beth Von St. Paul, Stacy Larimore, and Donna Lewis. So do we have a motion to do the vote by acclamation? Duncan Bell is so moved. Do we have a second? Rachel Ashburn in the front row seconds it. All in favor of voting by acclamation, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so I need Susan. Why don't you move the new slate and we'll get a second and then we'll vote.
I move to accept the new slate by acclamation.
All right, do we have a second? There we go. Linda DeVinny seconded it. All in favor of these 4 joining our vestry, say aye really loud. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Please stand if you are one of those folks, if you are able. Stacy, Silvio, Beth, and Donna, thank you. Donna's right over there. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right, so we're moving right along because I know you're all hungry for chili. The minutes of the 2024 annual meeting. So everybody received those in an email. Otherwise, they're available. It was in with the report that you received by email. So are there any additions or corrections to the notes from last year's meeting as presented? There is a correction. There's a date that's wrong that Brenda just pointed out to me, so we will make that correction. Any other additions or corrections? So can I have a motion to accept the minutes as corrected? Dave Mansfield, a second. Duncan Bell, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Doesn't Brenda keep immaculate notes? She really does. She takes great notes for the vestry, I have to say. All right, we will move on to the finance report. Jim Johnson is our Finance Commission Chair. He was new to the vestry and relatively new to Emmanuel to take on this job. So I thank Jim for his steep learning curve and his taken this on, and he will give us a presentation today about where we are. He said he had no idea what he was in for, so yeah, that's probably true.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Jim Johnson, for those who don't know, and I have the privilege of being your Finance Commission Chairman on the vestry for the past year. I'm very, very grateful for the support that I received from the Finance Commission members who, when I took this job, I didn't even know who they were. And they play an important role in monitoring Emmanuel's financial health and making solid financial advice and recommendations to the Emmanuel vestry. And I'd like to recognize them because they never get recognized. Dave Brown, Dave Mansfield, Jim Maxey, Mike Nicholsberg, Bill Sisley, our treasurer, Susan Summerlin, our senior warden, Wendy Daniels, our junior warden, and our rector, Mimi Lacey, and Duncan Bell, a former past chairman of this commission, and my personal mentor. I couldn't have done this without him. This commission has met faithfully via email or in person each and every month. They have also provided me with financial reviews and guidance on expenditures, both expected and unexpected, like kitchen ice makers and HVAC breakdowns, and the planned HVAC replacement in Conference Room 1, and now the current Narthex window replacement. No matter how short a time I give them for turnaround on reviews, they're right on the spot. They're never late, and I appreciate the support tremendously. Our commission's work has also been dependent on one other dedicated support person and a key staff member, and that's our bookkeeper, Nancy Newhams. She has eternal patience and has sat through numerous question sessions and has helped in understanding what actually goes into making the Finance Commission and the finances of Emmanuel work. Each week she records the revenue reports from the Counters Committee. She records each pledge and offering received and accounts for all expenses and requests for reimbursement, ensuring that our bills and payroll are paid accurately and on time. Nancy's always made herself readily available for the Finance Commission for assistance, questions, and explanations, and we are very sad at her leaving, but our vestry member, Brenda Anderson, has assumed her position as staff bookkeeper, and she is extremely sharp on bookkeeping matters, and she is already a great asset to the church on the vestry. I look forward to working with her. We now have a final, as Mimi said earlier, 2025 Emmanuel Episcopal Church annual budget, reviewed, recommended by the Finance Commission, and as of Monday, January 6th, was unanimously approved by the vestry. I'd also again like to thank Duncan Bell for his tireless work on budget development for 2025. Overall, 2024 has been a good year for Emmanuel. Total revenue for 2024 is $501,580.70, and total expenses $467,116.58, leaving a net total of approximately $34,464.12. I don't think all of the numbers for December are final, but I think they're very close. And we still, I think, have bills to pay out of December. And we're in the black. Not by a lot, but we are in the black. So we are in sound financial condition. Emmanuel's annual gift and pledge drive for 2025, our Every Member Commitment Campaign, was completed on early December, and I would like to thank everybody who contributed so generously. The year's pledge drive, however, was a bit disappointing as the 2025 contributions fell short of the 2024 goal by approximately $33,800. This happens to be the second year that this has happened, and needless to say, the Finance Commission was not happy. Emmanuel's church procedure requires fiscal responsibility from the Finance Commission, and therefore, to provide a final balanced and annual budget to the vestry and to the parish. To make up the shortfall, we will have to insert approximately $33,863.02 of savings and cash reserves into the 2025 budget. I revealed this condition or result of the pledge drive in my financial corner column in the epistle. So it shouldn't be a surprise. To keep, as you heard of all the activities that we're involved in Mimi's sermon, you can't take this for granted. A pledge means planning. We did see an increase in non-pledge contributions, which is well and good, but we can't plan the way we can with pledge contributions. Pledge contributions are important because we know what's coming and what to expect month to month. And if we're going to keep these levels, we're going to have to make some adjustments. And it's a heavy hit for our plans for the church. The vestry and the Finance Commission have agreed that for this year, the best thing to do is to insert savings to make up the difference. And I mentioned that we had to use cash reserves. And the thing I think that was a little bit disturbing was the amount that we're going to have to use this year is about 3 times what we had to use last year. Mortgage fund pledge drive was a little better, and they were up 9.8%, with a pledge total of $44,226, up over $3,969 from 2024. That's really good news. The Finance Commission also completed an internal audit without any major findings, and the results were submitted to the Episcopal Diocese of Southern Virginia on September 1st, 2024. Thanks to the committee members, Mike Nicholsberg and Brenda Anderson, as well as Nancy Newhams. Almost every aspect of what we do in the past has involved Nancy. She's been there every step of the way. Now, for one of the brightest spots in 2024 financially for Emmanuel, the financial success of the Emmanuel Day School program has been due to its excellent leadership, Carla Harris, and management by her staff, and some very wise investing. It has provided the church with a $100,000 certificate of deposit to the financial benefit of the church by way of a $75,000 pay down on the principal of the mortgage that we currently have on the church through Town Bank. Bill Sisley in October this year made the payment to Town Bank against the principal. I think that dropped us down to about $287,000 approximately left, and that's a big drop. Didn't all go to the mortgage. $10,000 went to Major Improvements Fund, $10,000 went to the Outreach Ministry, and $5,000 went to the Mortgage Reserve Fund. So between our pledges and the Mortgage Reserve Fund, we're in pretty good shape. And really, this could not have come at a better time because the Emmanuel Board of Trustees this past April was asked to sign a new interest and mortgage loan principal and interest agreement on the loan that I was just talking about, the mortgage. The interest rate jumped from 4.91% to 7.65%. And our monthly payment increased $437. So this gift could not have come at a better time. This was part of a 5-year plan rate adjustment that's built into the mortgage. And this current adjustment was not in our favor. 2024 has been a good year for Emmanuel with many physical improvements, both completed and in the works, especially HVAC. I think the choir room, music room, library, conference room 1 are in good shape now. And we're working on the narthex windows. I want to remind everybody not to take what I mentioned earlier, all this high level of activity that we love, that we're involved in, don't take it for granted, because things change. Things have a way of changing without you even realizing it. We've got a lot of change that have happened just in the last month. So Emmanuel is a very active church, and though not huge, it sustains a large footprint in the community. Don't take the Emmanuel footprint for granted. It must be worked and supported, and that means planned pledges. As we have seen recently, things have a way of changing, often without warning. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Questions? There's one. You're going to have to speak into the microphone.
I can't stand up, so you'll have to.
Yeah, the first question, Frank Wakefield. First question is, I don't see on the budget, and it may have been in the detailed budget that I didn't see, where the diocesan giving is for the church.
It's there. Let me see.
I just don't know what category it's under.
If it was left off, it was by mistake.
It may not.
Diocesan pledge for 2025 is $40,820.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Yes.
Betty Jean.
I have two questions. One tags on to his. Is that the recommended pledge for the diocese? I know that there is usually a recommended pledge for each church.
They send us a request that's 10% of our
10%,
plate
yeah.
and pledge from previous year, which would be 2023. What we do is give them that, unless some of that we took in that year was from our surplus that we transferred in. So if we transfer money in from the previous year, we've already given the diocese 10% of that.
Oh, good.
So what we do, if there has been some transferred in, we take that out and we give the diocese 10% of our true plate and pledge.
Complicated.
Well, they understand because
Good.
I called the treasurer and explained it to her.
Good. The other question is, if you took the average attendance for Emmanuel for the past year, does anybody know what that would be?
I don't have that number yet. We haven't done the parochial report, but from putting the numbers in every week, I would say our average attendance is somewhere around maybe 120, 130.
Is that more or less than it used to be?
That is less than.
Yes, that's what, it seems to me, just glancing, that the attendance has been less.
It is.
That may be part of the reason why we don't have as much pledge money.
I
We
mentioned
got to
earlier
have
that
people here who are willing to pledge, of course, but not all of those would be new people.
what we saw grow was non-pledge contributions, which means people are still giving. We love that. But it's not pledged, means it's not planned. We
Right.
can't depend on it month after
And
month.
I'm not sure that people understand how very important it is that they pledge rather than put cash into the plate.
And what we're trying to do now is just to find, is this the new normal?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Anybody else?
Jim, thank you so much for such a wonderful, detailed report.
I hope I didn't put you to
went down
sleep.
things very, very well, and I really appreciate it. Having been part of the church for a long time and being on finance committees, I do have an understanding of what you all face. Some of our lost pledges are due to families who have either moved or significant pledge-giving people have passed away.
Yeah, we understand that.
We've had a number of funerals, and we've lost some very faithful parishioners in that circumstance. The other thing is, Emmanuel has always responded positively to financial needs that come up during the year. Special gifts come forward at
And we
most
have one right now
unexpected
with the
times.
narthex window replacement.
So, you know, I'm encouraged by where we are today. I've been encouraged where we have been over the last years because we have a history of coming through and making things happen when they need to be. So thank you so much for your work. I look forward to your reports in the future,
Sure,
and have a blessed day.
thank you.
Anybody else?
George?
I understand that
Speak into the top of it, please.
I understand that the top, can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
I don't hear me. The shortfall was $33,000,
A little more than that, 33.8.
roughly. But you had left over from last year, 32,000. What happened to it? Why don't you?
Well, we still have December bills. I don't think December has been closed out. finally yet.
$30,000.
But that's surplus from this year. It can be put, as far as I know, it can be put,
Well, that's
What
not
we have
worse.
done with surpluses in the past is put them on a designated fund, on the designated fund sheet that says
Like a
surplus.
cash
And it'll
reserve.
say 2024. And so we know it's there, and then we can transfer it in. This way, rather than roll in a lump sum, because we often don't need as much as we project, because we either get more money or spend less money. So this way, as we transfer it in, we take it the earliest year we have a surplus from. We transfer it in every month only if we need it. So that's why we don't just put it in.
Well, it just
doesn't
looks
become part
funny
of
to
the
me
budget.
that you say you have a $33,000 shortfall, and you really don't.
Yeah, you're right. But to be clear, you want to show where, there is less money coming in this year. So it's just a way to demonstrate. But you're correct.
and it's planning. Budget planning starts in late October, early November.
Yeah.
So we don't know what this rollout's going to be at the end of December, how much is going to be left. We can estimate it, but we need it for
We get
planning.
plenty of money, just left in our pockets.
Two things. One, to George's point, is our budget is based on an annual zero-based budget type thing. We don't do accrual counting, if you will, from year to year.
That's right.
So while what we say is shortfall, we have a shortfall in what our projected income is versus what our projected expenditures. From an overall standpoint, as far as cash availability, yes, we're in sound financial condition from the standpoint that we've got money that we can transfer in as we need it.
Right.
Just as a secondary point, I'm one of the delegates going to convention, or to diocesan convention this year, and I sat in on the diocesan budget discussion this week. And interestingly enough, our diocese is operating much the same way. For each of the last
Yeah, I
2 or
watched the
3
clip you
years,
sent me.
they've had to transfer funds out of their cash reserves into their annual budget to balance their budget out the same way.
And they're
But they
looking
end
for
up
the
with
same thing.
They look at the same thing. They
Yeah.
end up with income each year, the last 2 or 3 years, being more than what their expected expenditures have been. So they, in fact, transfer money from each of those years the same sort of way. So it's a matter of just how the accounting process works more than anything else. But from an overall financial position, we're in sound financial position at the moment. The problem being is that's not a real sustainable process for going forward. We've got to look at ways to better balance that each year.
Yeah, we don't want this to become a pattern year after year. That's really what we're
One back in
fighting.
the back, Jim.
I am definitely not adept at budgeting, but I'm concerned about the line for music. It's one of the ministries where more was spent this year than what was budgeted, but what has been projected is $2,000 less than what we spent this year. And I just was wondering about the thinking behind that decision.
That comes straight from Bobby. That comes straight from Bobby Sullivan. We don't make that decision, he does.
But he did not explain.
He gave us that number. We don't mess with Bobby's numbers. Do we, Bobby?
Well, he definitely did not explain it to me, so I guess I'll have a conversation with
Yeah.
him.
We get budget
But-
requests from each of the commission leads.
Yeah, I just think that's probably more drastic than any of the other reductions
Yeah,
on the
and
page.
that's him, not us.
Got one over here,
Oh,
Janet?
over here's a question.
Need the mic, Janet.
a statement, but I'm Janet Thomas, I'm in charge of the liturgy commission, which the music department falls under, and they asked me to provide a budget, and I asked Bobby to provide a budget for the music department, and he did, and in his email to me, he did say that he had decreased it based on the feeling that, do I have to? Based on the feeling that this year we were going to have fewer funds available. But he did put the caveat in there that if money becomes available, that the original budget be increased to cover that. So.
Well,
that's
and
what I know
remember
about
that
it.
budgets are targets. They're not hard stops. You know, if something came up and it seemed like a reasonable thing, of course we'd move forward with it. But budgets give us, you know, guidelines and help us know where we are and where we want to be. So, anybody else? You survived, Jim. Thank you.
And everyone is still awake.
All right. We move next to the deacon's report. Where is it? Oh, there you are.
For budgetary purposes, since I'm leaving, that won't be a line item next year, so. I want to thank, in a couple weeks, I'll get to thank a lot of people. However, this morning, I really want to thank two groups that I think have been instrumental to me and instrumental to the church. The first one is the Brotherhood of St. Andrew, which has been, I think, an incredible blessing to the church. As Mimi said, she notices that after we discuss the gospel, people are paying attention. On the way out, sometimes they'll tell Mimi that she missed the mark. You know, we came up with a better idea. And obviously, it's been a really big influence in terms of when I do the sermon, because it's amazing when we get together and share, you know, what our thoughts are, and it's just, to me, made the church a more spiritual place, is the best way to put it. And then the second group I really want to thank are the acolytes. I mean, here are the kids who, I can tell when they come in the morning, they are not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Braden told me he stayed up till 3 o'clock last night. I don't know where his parents were. We're more concerned about that. But I mean, it's amazing to me what a gift the church has in terms of the acolyte community. They're fantastic. And when you see some of them, please thank them. And then you do not, I know I said only two groups, but Mimi is, to me, the most remarkable priest I have ever been around. I've been around a lot of them. I've been around some good ones. I've been around some bad ones. but I like to say that Mimi is the complete package. Sometimes their priests are really good spiritually, but on the kind of the leadership side, they're a little bit weak. Sometimes they're good leaders, but on the spiritual side, to me, she is the one who's able to make hard decisions, but make them the right way. She's the one who makes this place a spiritual place, and she's been, I cannot thank her enough for being a mentor to me.
That cost me a lot of money. All right. Don't forget, 2 weeks, big party. Hawaiian shirts or bright colors. Gotta come to church. All righty, so next up are the warden's report. First, we'll hear from the current senior warden, Susan Summerlin.
Good morning. Okay, thanks. Well, Mimi already gave my talk this morning far more eloquently and completely than I will be able to because I have only half a page here. However, I can't think of any time that you can give people too many thanks. So I hope you'll agree with me that it's been a very good year. And that's been thanks to all of you. This time last year, I asked you to follow the theme of bloom where you're planted by getting involved and by trying new things. And wow, 80 or so people put out a Christmas play. We planted a new pollinator garden, and we even cleaned out most of the attic. New volunteers joined the vestry. So thank you to all of our vestry members who work hard and are committed to their commissions. And thanks to many of you who responded to the ministry fair and joined those commissions. Planning, creating new ideas, finding resources, and recruiting a lot more of you to carry out those plans. So thank you, all of you, for participating in Christian formation, in making services happen every other day. Everything that happens here takes a lot of people. Thank you for supporting the outreach and in-reach programs here, for maintaining our buildings. I know Dave is happy about that. The new garden, participating in all of the social activities that the Parish Life Commission puts on here today. So you're important to our community, and I thank you all. You have indeed bloomed where you were planted. So thank you.
Next, we have our rising senior warden, Wendy Daniels.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I'm so honored to stand before you today as the incoming senior warden at Emmanuel. As we gather here for our annual meeting, I'm filled with gratitude for the trust you have placed in me and the opportunity to serve this extraordinary community. Our theme for the year, Come Grow With Us, resonates deeply with the spirit of the church. It's an invitation, a call for each one of us to embark on a journey of faith, love, and service together. Growth in its essence is not just about numbers or expansion, but about the enrichment of our souls, the strengthening of our bonds, and the deepening of our connection with God. As we reflect on the past year, we acknowledge the challenges we have faced, but we also celebrate the resilience, compassion, and unity that has defined our congregation. We have supported one another through difficult times, rejoiced in our shared successes, and continually sought to be a beacon of hope and light in our community. Looking ahead, our theme encompasses us, encourages us to envision a future where Emmanuel continues to be a place of growth and transformation, a place where everyone feels welcome and valued, where diverse voices are heard, and where we work together to build a vibrant community. We are called to grow in our faith, deepening our understanding of God's word, and strengthening our relationship with Him. We are called to grow in our service, reaching out to those in need, and making a positive impact in the world around us. And we are called to grow in our love, fostering genuine relationships and creating a sense of belonging in all. As your senior warden, I'm committed to fostering an environment where growth is not just a goal, but a way of life. Together, we will explore new opportunities for spiritual development, continue our strong outreach programs, and cultivate a culture of support and encouragement for each other. Each one of us has a unique role to play in this journey, and it is through our collective efforts that we will achieve our vision. In closing, I invite all of you to embrace this theme with open hearts and minds. Let us come together, grow together, and continue to build a church that reflects the love and grace of our Creator. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. May God bless us all as we embark on this exciting new chapter.
And since we've heard from the rising senior warden, let me tell you that Camille Peter has agreed to be the rising junior warden this year. Let's thank Camille for her work. She's over there. All righty, let's see, the warden's report, commission report. So, you each received this package that has a report from every single vestry member in it. I will tell you that this group this year always had all their reports in on time. It was like miraculous. That, everybody just did the work and they did their reports. And it would be great if you read them because they really tell you what's been going on behind the scenes and all the work that your vestry does do. And so I strongly encourage you to read them. Some of you hopefully have already. And in doing that, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask or any comments they would like to make about any of the commission reports? Yes?
I forgot to add Meals on Wheels to my report. I did editing and I accidentally left them off, so I apologize. Off the outreach report, sorry.
Okay, so Rachel is in charge of outreach and she left Meals on Wheels off of her report, which troubles her greatly, and we will add that on there for you. Because that is a great ministry. It really is. It's so important to the people that receive them. Okay, Betty Jean?
I'll stand up this time.
You can stay seated.
One of the things that I enjoy is watching our youth participate in our service. And I have noticed throughout the year that a number of times we have not had a full staff, so to speak, of the youth who serve as acolytes and the lighters and so forth. It used to be flag bearers in my children's time, I think. And the children learn so very much from that. I mean, it is a wonderful ministry. And I understand that that's part of liturgy. I think it needs to be really clear to each one of those young people that if they cannot serve on a particular service, they have in mind who they contact and who is going to replace them. Like this morning, my heart beamed when I saw those kids come down. And so I would just like some attention paid to that for next year.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on commission reports? Okay, well, I hope that you familiarize yourself with it. If you're interested in a particular area, contact the person in charge of that commission. Help is always appreciated. And get involved. All right, something I am inserting in here after commission reports is just to talk for a minute about the staff change that took place. I know I put an article in the newsletter. Nancy Newhams stepped in is it 2017? And she faced a really big challenge coming into our finances in getting them sorted out and consistently reported and tracked. and she has worked very, very hard. And I asked her to be here today so that we could recognize her and thank her. And she kindly refused. She doesn't like a lot of attention, and she kind of prefers to be under the radar. So if you think of it, you can always send her a text, an email, or a note, or whatever, thanking her for her work. I have done that and will continue to do so. But Nancy did a fantastic job for us over the past several years and gave us such clear financial statements that often we could meet just by email as a finance commission because it was so clear what was going on. So then when she informed me that she wanted to retire, she's hoping for a grandchild somewhere in the next year or so, and she wants to be free to travel up to Ohio to help out, we recruited, and God bless her, Brenda Anderson said yes. And if you think her notes are good, wait till you see her finance statements. We're very excited. So she and Nancy have worked side by side, November and December. And Nancy was in this past week, and she has made herself available to Brenda for any and all questions. She has been very generous with her time and her knowledge. But let's welcome Brenda onto the staff. And now Brenda knows why Nancy refused to come. But anyway, we're very lucky. We're lucky to have such people step up and fill in for us, so it's great. All right, recognition of outgoing vestry members. So would Doug Lewis, Elaine Schrader, Debbie Bamer, and Susan Summerlin come on down, please? Right here? I need to get these all out, I guess. All right, so this group has given 3 years of time to your service. They have done a fantastic job. They've been a great class. And Elaine has done children and youth. Debbie was in charge of day school commission for 3 years. Doug did adult formation, and Susan, of course, has been junior warden and senior warden. I forget what you did that first year. You did liturgy that first year. So 1 year on liturgy, and then junior warden and senior warden. And they have all done an excellent job. And so to thank them, first I have, this is for you, Elaine, and she really worked well with Diana and kept up with kids stuff and filed her reports every month and just has really been a joy to work with. So Elaine, we thank you. Debbie has done day school commission. They have a great group down there, and of course, day school is running very well. Carla Harrison is a wonderful director for the school. We must have great teachers because people keep coming back and signing up. And so we thank Debbie for keeping that group in line and being with us for 3 years. This is the second time I've thanked Doug Lewis for serving on vestry, so he already got the present I usually give. So here's a different one. But Doug worked with adult formation, and he faithfully showed up for it, helped set up for it, met with Diana to plan it, took your suggestions when you had them to Diana to help get them on a schedule, and just did really a great job. So thank you, Doug.
Very good commission group, so there's a great group of people willing to help Diana, and whoever replaces me will have an easy ride to that group.
There you go. See, he's still marketing, isn't it? I love it. And Susan. It's probably hard being like a warden with me because I use them a lot. And so she has been a faithful listener, a faithful helper, a faithful sounding board for me, which I really appreciate. So Susan, I thank you also. Will the other current members of vestry please stand if you're currently on vestry? These guys do a great job. There's some over here on the other side in case you're counting and wondering where they all are. But they do a great job. They show up. They think seriously about what's before them. And they help you all out, whether you know it or not, so you need to thank them. Sure.
I just want to let you know, it is a joy to be on the vestry. We gather together, we get to know people we may not have known before. We eat together, you get a chance to cook for each other. It's just, and we pray together, we pray for each other the whole time. It's really a joy. So don't hesitate if you're ever asked to be on the vestry.
Last but not least. Oops, that was good. Have to have my notes. Thank you. All right, so by now you've all heard several times about DCDI, the Diocesan Congregational Development Institute. Melissa Thomas, Lori Rodman, Carter, and myself went for 2 years, 4 times a year, to be trained, and now Carter and I are still going because we are training to be trainers. And so it's still a big part of our lives. And every year since we started going, we have done a model from DCDI. And the models are really useful because they help you visualize in a neutral way what is going on within an organization or within a group of people. And so once again, I'm going to pull out a DCDI model called the relationship cycle to talk to you about some things here at Emmanuel.
Say one more time what the initials stand for.
I'm sorry?
Say one more time what the initials stand for.
Diocesan Congregational Development Institute. Okay? DCDI. There is a quiz at the end. All right. For those of us who are visual learners, which I am one, this is always really helpful to me. So the relationship cycle, the relationship begins. It's created, and you negotiate your norms. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. How are we going to do this? How do we want to be with each other? And so you do that, and you reach an agreement on goals and aims and processes and things like that, so that you can work together. And you work together on all those things, and you reach, hopefully, stability. And stability is when your organization's working, your processes are working, you're pretty productive, people are generally happy. This is a good place to be. This is where we all like to be, is its stability. And oftentimes, what happens to an organization is there's something that they call the rub. The rub can come from inside the organization, like a change in leadership or a conflict over social issues or anything like that, or it can come from outside the organization. You remember when 2008 happened and you know, everything fell apart financially and everybody was really worried. And so they call that the rub. So if there is something that happens and there are processes in place to deal with it, what happens is you go through those processes and you come back up and you start over. Because you're not the same group. You don't have the same dynamics, right? So you're back up here. However, what often happens with the rub is there isn't a way to deal with it. People ignore it and hope it'll go away. Or it's just so bad that there's something you can't do. Sometimes what happens is there's a blow up and things just implode. But what then happens is you start back around. Some people leave. They might leave the organization, they're done. You don't see them again. Some may withdraw. So they step back and wait to see what happens. And then they may permanently leave, or they may come back. But they don't withdraw at first with the point of leaving. And so you come back up and you always have a desire to return to normal. It's like, oh, if we could just be what we were before, right? That's where we want to be. But it doesn't work that way because it is a new group. There are new norms, there are new forces working, and so you have to accept the changes and start over, right? Does that make sense? Okay, it's pretty easy. So, I'm going to do this model again, but go over the last 10 years. Because believe it or not, this is my 10th annual meeting with you. Bet you didn't know that, did you? No? All right. So, Emmanuel went through a bumpy time. John retired. There was disagreement around gay marriage. Marguerite left under unhappy circumstances. Julia had to move on. And the diocese even temporarily stopped your search process so that you could do some inside work before you started looking outside again. You remember that? Those of you that have been here a while? It was hard. It was bumpy. It wasn't handled well in many different ways by the diocese and by Emmanuel. So that was a tough time. All right, so then I accepted a call here and came. And y'all got used to me after a while. And there were things that the vestry wanted me to do, and there were things I saw that I thought needed to be done. And we moved forward, and we agreed that there was this work to be done. And we did it. We worked on worship and the bulletins, the size of the vestry. We had financial things to clean up. So we did a lot of work together, and I think we reached a form of stability where we were good, we were happy, we were productive, we do a lot of outreach. We had our Christmas plays, we just, we have joyful worship. So we reached this stage, and what happened? What was the rub? COVID, absolutely. COVID happened, and it was hard. Now that very first Sunday, I think we were online on Facebook Live with my cell phone. And we only went up from there, which was great, largely thanks to Virginia and Bob, who are back working the sound booth even now. But it was hard, right? And there was no way to have a process and plan change for that, because whoever thought such a thing could happen? So, we had to go this way. Some people have left and not come back. As Betty Jean noted, our attendance isn't where it used to be. And so some people withdrew, and some have returned in person, and some have returned online. And our virtual service has really been a boon for people who can't come in or who have issues about coming in. So if you ever look at our numbers online, we have good numbers. We have 30 to 40 people checking in on a Sunday on our service. So that's really good. So some people withdrew, some came back virtually, some came back in person. And here's where we want to be. We want to be back here, right? We want to be back to stability and normality. But the truth is, things have changed. So if you look at statistics, it used to be that 42% of Americans said they went to church every week. That number is 20% now. Another 11% go maybe twice a month, it says. For the first time ever, less than 50% of Americans go to church. 57% say they go seldom or never. And I can see that, and this is going to sound funny, but I can really see that at funerals. People come in that have never been in a church before. You can tell. You can tell they have no idea what to do or what it's about. And that is becoming the norm. No matter how we don't understand it or how we bemoan it, no matter how well we know what they are missing, the norm is that the church is not what it used to be, and it's not where it used to be. Now that's not, it's not the end, right? The church has actually always done better when it's on the outside. Because what happens is we become much more focused on what really is important. What really is important is that we come together to worship and serve God. And a lot of that other stuff falls away. But it's still hard. It's hard to see and to learn those numbers, right? And so What Emmanuel has to do, the work that has to be done, is we have to let go of this because this isn't possible. This isn't where we are. Even though it's been comfy, we've had 2 full program years back after COVID, and it's been good, right? But we have to be realistic. Our population is aging. We talk about getting young people in, but then when we talk about creating a space for children, people are like, oh, no, can't do that. You know, you can't have it both ways. You got to make some changes. So we've got to go up here and do this again. And the reality of that leads me to know that I am not the person to do this work with you again. So I will be retiring on May 1st. The reality is, I'm old. I will be 69 this summer. And 69 is time to retire. I will tell you that I don't have the energy that I've always had. And at first I thought it's because I'm old, right? And then I thought, well, maybe it's because they took my hyperactive thyroid out. I kind of took some of that with me. But I have found out since November I have cardiac issues. I have an appointment for a catheterization, and after that I have to have an ablation. Heart issues make you think. And hopefully, you know, everything will be routine and go fine. I'll get my energy level back. But they do make you think. And I will tell you that being a rector is a wonderful job. I have loved it, and I have embraced it. But it's a big job, and it is stressful. If I were to liken it to a business, it's like being the CEO of a $500,000 business with 1 full-time employee. That's me. All right? I have 7 part-time staff members, and they are great. But there is a lot to do as the rector of a church. And like I said, I have loved it, but I need to give more time to my family. I realized at Christmas that the last time I was home and present on Christmas Eve was in 1999, when my youngest daughter was 11. She's now 36 and has 2 of our grandchildren. And I need to give some time to that. So, let's see, I had 4 reasons for you. The final reason that I really do believe it's time for me to step aside is we've had a great run. By the time I leave in May, it'll be 9.5 years. We'll have had 10 annual meetings, 10 Easters, 10 Holy Weeks, 10 Ash Wednesdays. You name it, we've done it. It's been great. I have loved being here. But you need a change. You need new ideas, new creativity. You need someone to come in and shake things up. I've always, I believe that 10 years together, we were very comfortable with each other. It's easy to become complacent. And it has been hard to get people to step up and lead. That is a sign of complacency. Can't do it. You got to step up. And so when you have new leadership, new ideas, new excitement, hopefully you'll do that because it'll be a new thing. And I know it's hard and I know it can be sad, but I hope that over the next few months, we're going to have 3.5 months together, so you're not rid of me yet. We can work on the fact that there's lots of things to be excited about. And I promise to work hard and to leave you in a good place. Because I love you, and I want you to move forward in a positive and happy way.
We can make it harder for you if you like.
I didn't hear.
We can make it harder for you.
Oh, no, that's all right, so the last thing I want to address is, I know this is particularly hard because you think, oh my God, Carter's leaving, Bobby's retiring, and yeah, she's going to leave. And you know, you can look at it that way. But let me tell you this, when I first started thinking a while back about, well, I'm going to have to retire one of these days, I'm getting old. And I had considered leaving on my 9-year anniversary, which would have been last November 1st. That was my 9-year anniversary. And then Bobby gave me his letter of resignation last summer. And Carter had always planned to leave, after his 70th birthday, so that he would retire and move on. So I knew all these things were coming together. And so I went to see the bishop last August and spent a good bit of time with her. And I explained to her how the last time you had a transition, it wasn't a happy one particularly. And it's very important to me that this be a happy one. And so in talking with her and to the canon to the ordinary, we settled on my staying through Lent and Easter and being here really for almost the end of the program year. And I'm happy to do that. And in getting things ready, the vestry retreat next week, the canon to the ordinary, Mary Thorpe, who works with the bishop, will be here to meet with the vestry and start them on what comes next. So even though this might seem easy, it's not. It's not. I don't know anybody in Virginia Beach but you all. I also want to tell you that when I came here, my hair was brown. And it's not anymore. So, we will move forward together for another 3.5 months. So, if you have any questions, direct questions right now, I'll answer them. Otherwise, we will have Carter dismiss us and go to lunch.
All I have to say is at age 88, I don't think change life. Dadgummit, here comes the biggest one in my life with this church. But you were right, the last one was bumpy, and I pray that this one will go more smoothly because you have laid the way for it, I think. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Do you have to work so hard?
Do I have to work so hard? I can't tell you how many times Tom Lacey has said that to me. And I have to tell you, it's my nature. I really just put myself into it. Don't you say a word.
No, she doesn't have to work that hard.
He has actually said that to me. I love what I do, and I want to do a good job. And when I was in seminary, he got real mad at me for working so hard. And he said, you don't have to make all A's. And I said, I don't know what else to make. So it's my nature to answer your question. I will always work hard. I'll work hard up till we go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you and Tom leaving Virginia Beach?
No. We'll be staying. How could he leave all his golf buddies? He needs to beat George. Yeah. No, we like Virginia Beach. I am a beach person, and so we'll be here. Anything else? All right. Well, I will be here, like I said, in April. We got a long way to go, gang. I did want you to know early because I do want it to go well. I really do. And so please know my door is always open. You can call, text, come in, whatever. But it will be good. I promise you. It will be good. Emmanuel, you have each other. You have the best thing that anyone can have, which is a community that loves each other, supports each other, and holds each other up. And you do that no matter who your leader is. I'll tell you this thing that Michael Curry said once that I love. He was talking to a group of clergy, and he said, y'all are the A team. So people are the B team. They're important. He said, because they'd be here before you came, and they would be here when you go. And I love that, because I think it's true. You have each other, and you are good to each other. You have great leadership in your vestry this year. We will work it out. You will be fine. So let's go eat some chili. Carter.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Let us go forth